The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hi, how are you? It's Christine Joanna Hart, and it's Valkyrie's at Revolution Radio. How are you tonight? It's a mellow, quite hot evening in London, in Kensington. It's a beautiful blue sky. And tonight we did have Max Spiers with us. He's not arrived yet, so I guess we are going to talk about targeting and targeted individuals while we wait for Max. So I should probably text him, but my mobile phone is nowhere to be seen. Sorry about that. I arrived quite late getting home, so it's all a bit of a rush, but never mind, I'm sure he's going to turn up without being nudged. So good evening, and I hope everyone's really, really well and chilled out and enjoying the summer. The summer has already started, so I'm kind of telling myself that, because I said to a friend, oh, when summer comes, and then I remember that summer's actually here. So I'm trying to enjoy it, even though I've masses of stress at the moment. My brother is supposedly selling the family home. We've been left a tiny amount each, and masses to the church and all the cults that my mother was with that involved the Catholic Church. And my brother doesn't seem to be able to sell the house. I'm assuming because he knows that he won't be able to cope. It's only a small amount of money, and he'll go off to a bed sit, and he's never lived that way before, and I don't think he can cope. So he's just sitting tight, and it's really frustrating for me, because I do need the tiny amount of money that I have got coming to me. I want it now, and I've waited a year. She's been dead a year, so that's really stressful. And I had a pretty heated argument with him, so my head is completely fried. Also, I had experienced my landlady put a chemical in the boiler, and it was really having a bad effect on me. And I told her, it's having a bad effect on me, it's a really strong chemical, and she poo-pooed it. And then eventually I fought really hard, and she rinsed it out, and it was like, oh, massive relief. And then a year went past, and the heating guy put it back in again, because he didn't believe that I was affected by it. And then they both denied that it was in there. And I just washed it out last night, and it was amazing. I just had a decent night's sleep, because it's a really filthy chemical that shouldn't really be anywhere near people. So I'm probably going to sue them. I was thinking about being targeted and targeted individuals, and what goes on with them, and how to avoid it, how to deal with it. Since probably for all my life, I've been a targeted individual, being a monarch and in the control of the Vatican, and doing various bits and bobs on Fleet Street and for these ex-MI6 agencies. When you say ex-MI6 agencies, everybody kind of, well, not everybody, but one or two people sort of think, ooh, wow, ooh, prove it then. And I had an argument with Mars in the week, because he's rather upset about Peter Paget saying he was from MI6 and turned out not to be, or something like that. I don't really know the true story. But and then he said to me, you need to prove that you are too. Just to underline it, I could never have worked for MI6, because I don't have the sorry, my flatmate scared the hell out of me, because I don't have the relevant class and to be accepted in MI6. So I actually, from my children's home, I started working for a private detective agency. They were ex-military, they were ex-MI6, and then I dotted around for other different detective agencies doing surveillance, undercover work, and then got back with an ex-MI6 agent, ex-MI5 agency, and then dotted around there the various different agencies that you get in London, CIX Limited, KCS Limited, and Hacklight, Carry2, Ogden, and I dotted around all those and basically moved on when I was bored. And that is my connection with MI6 and MI5, working for those agencies. And we basically did spying, that kind of thing. It's kind of irrelevant, but what is irrelevant with the Monarch stuff is the link in with phone hacking, which closed down basically the powers of the press to investigate. And that's why I brought up the story in connection with Miles's interview of me and my experience as a monarch. But since waking up and telling my story, have been pretty targeted, and it's a really horrible experience. Basically, just if you try to tell your story, you find either you're trolled. I have a troll, and I've had this same guy for about 5 years now, and the stuff he comes out with is really, it's quite demonic, basically, and I just have to put up with seeing it because he just posts it. And I have learned to feel sorry for him because he is basically just hosting something. So I have learned to feel sorry for him, and I do feel sorry for the man. He's been in prison for trolling. He trolled a police officer, and now he's in a bail hostel still trolling, and obviously he can't help himself. This is the way he tries to connect with people. And I do feel some empathy with that. And after all, his insults are just words, but he's just kind of, I don't know, he makes me feel dirty when I'm kind of speaking to him. And I always feel I have to do some kind of rejoinder, but I suppose one doesn't have to do a rejoinder and get into a conversation. It's just his insults are so way off the mark and so like just absurd that I always feel I have to say a rejoinder, but it's kind of, wearing a bit thin now because it almost feels as if I'm having a relationship with him somehow, and I know him and sort of, I don't know, in bed with him or something. It's all quite sticky and it's making me feel sick. But Max Spiers, who was on last week, did look at him psychically, and I actually had EA Coetting look at him psychically. So he's been looked at quite a lot. So I have the lowdown on what's going on with him spiritually, and it's all pretty dark. And what the dark side does, if you have anybody either spilling the beans or rising up and ascending in any kind of strong, purposeful way and sharing it, or whistleblowing like I'm doing, they do tend to get targeted and come in for these attacks. Which what they do, the dark side has a kind of netting over us, and the netting can pinpoint energy if it's vibrating in a certain way. And so it's all done remotely. And then basically they can access people around that person, either people that they've had karma with that are surrounding them, and they can come through that person and then basically attack the targeted individual. And since I've been whistleblowing, have had that stepped up a lot. And it's interesting that you can really start to see it and how it works. And the script that is used on you as an adult is probably the one that was used on you as a child, when obviously it's the same thing. If you're targeted now, you were targeted as a child, and you have the same scripts. My script was, you're mad, you're bad, you're mad, you're bad, constantly. Nobody ever told me I was fat or skinny or ugly or had a big nose or anything like that. It was always, you're mad, you're bad, you're mad, you're bad, constantly. I was never called stupid or anything, just those two things constantly. And then when you get bigger, and if you see that kind of script coming at you, that belittling, that kind of same thing you had as a kid, it's the targeting going on. And the way I have dealt with it, because I've had so so many problems lately that have linked with people that are hosting, that you just sometimes feel almost like in an energy kind of a trap, and you think, well, how do I get rid of this? How do I get out of it? Do I just not try and improve my spirituality, or not try and whistleblow, etc., etc.? But that isn't really an option, because these are really end days at the moment. It's not an option to cop out just because you're under attack. The way I dealt with it is firstly to try and repurify the system, and you repurify the system by taking the Bach flower essences and crystal essences. I make my own essences. I'm thinking of selling them on a website. So if you're really interested, then just hit me up on Facebook about them. Just the flower essences, the crystal essences are both really good. I combine them together because the crystal essences work really, really quickly, and the flower essences are really, really slow. So if you combine them together, you get the slow and also the fast. But basically what they do, they revert your whole body, because it's stored in the body, back to its default setting. And the way it works is, if you are in a certain mood, such as really, really angry with someone or triggered with anger, then you would take something like rose quartz water mixed with holly, which is one of the Bach flowers, and that basically just calms you down with the love energy. And then you get the holly that kicks in after, and it kind of pushes out any hidden reservoirs of old anger that's stored. But you have to be in the certain mood to be treated by the certain essences. And in that way, you kind of show that buried part of yourself, and it can get cured by the essences. Turn it round, show another different part of the buried part of yourself that comes out. You can drench it in essences. So that in that way, eventually you can restore your whole body to its default setting before it was tampered with, before it began the original targeting, and now it will form a barrier to the current targeting. And just because your body will become not so porous and will deflect, because basically we have holes built in us, like little bullet holes from the original targeting, that they just re-hit on these bullet holes. So basically, if you heal them and make sure you're basically completely healed and completely back to your default setting, then there's no way that you can be targeted. Well, it certainly lessens. Obviously, is going to be a little bit there's always going to be, attacks, but it won't be so massive and so debilitating, so severe that you can't function and get on with your everyday life that everybody needs to do. If you're constantly being slapped by everyone around you, then basically you have to get up and take the bull by the horns and work with a solution. And these essences, the crystal mixed with the flower essences, are a fantastic way of healing from that. And also what I would recommend is prayer. Prayer does work, because basically you can call on your gods, whoever they are, the creator god, the overall god, or one of the lesser gods, or one of the angels, whoever you feel like calling. I basically call on Odin, but I think Odin is just really in my blood. It's the name that the Norse people used for the creator god. So basically, I'm calling on the creator god, the god of everything, and I just call out and just basically say, this is your child, you're ignoring your child is in need here, and I want you to step up and help me. I'm being battered, it's by the dark forces, and you are my father, so don't just sit there and ignore me. Come down, look after me, protect me, do your job. And if you talk to God like that, basically, he will turn around and listen. You don't have to get sloppy. You don't have to, start promising things and put loads of energy to making effort, into being fake nice when you don't really feel like being nice. You really feel like, hey, I'm pretty abandoned. I've been pretty abandoned here. So, you can get shouty with God. You can get really cross. You can swear. You can threaten. You can say lots and lots of things that are really nasty. You can say how bad you feel. You can thump the bed. You can thump the wall. And you can just let it all out. And that is a good way of communicating with God. And then when you finish making your demands and reminding God that you're a child here, and there are lots of big, nasty, dark forces, and a lot of them are fallen angels, therefore they've got more power, and really you want some help. And I always find that God steps up to it and really does help me. So I tend to pray a few times a day. My praying is mainly saying, help me out here. Come on, I don't like this. And it does release energy that protects you. And you do feel often that you are surrounded by a really high vibrational, angelic energy that is stopping any reptilian crap getting into you, either directly from them or any kind of waves or any kind of hosting on other people near you and then making attacks. And it's sometimes best to do that in the morning because you never know who you're going to meet who is going to attack. So it's best to pray first thing in the morning, like something like, here I am, don't forget to look after me today. Don't don't ignore your duties. I'm here. I want to be looked after. And then at the end of the day, you can say thanks and for looking after me. Thanks for anything you've had during the day that's positive. And then ask for protection during sleep, during the night, so you don't wake up feeling really, really tired because you've had loads of nasties circling you on the astral as you are out of your body during the sleep time. So those things. Also, implants are often, we often have implants in us. And again, the crystal mixed with the flower essences will dissolve the implants. Literally, you can see them coming out of you. You can see them like little black eels pouring out of you. You can see them coughing up from your throat and coming out of your chakras. Once you get quaffing the essences, literally you put them in water that you drink them every single day, and they really will purify your body to the extent where you will be unplugged from these implants. And if you haven't got the implants, it's a lot less easy to attack and to reach you in that way. So hopefully once you've cleansed yourself, and literally there's so many different essences that you can have. Labradorite makes a fine essence. There's obsidian, makes a beautiful essence. Rose quartz, again, that's kind of loving. You can mix it. You can mix the essence with cream and put it all over you. Just make sure you get a lot of them down your neck during the day, and that will completely protect you, along with prayer to start the day, prayer during the day. Talk to God as if he's a friend by your side, and then before you go to sleep, just these continuous prayer, and try and be nice to other people. And then you will just find that whole targeting stuff just falling away. And believe me, I have completely been slapped. I just feel like a pinball. Sometimes I just pinball, from one to another, one to another, one to another. And it's just constant and it's draining. And I know what it's about. It's about stuff that these agencies have done. And I'm coming out with it. And I'm meeting up with somebody quite important soon to talk about it and to go even more public on a sort of higher, more mainstream in a mainstream way. And I do feel as though I'll probably be targeted a lot more once I do that. And it does scare me because I know they can do things to affect your health. And the boiler thing it just had me debilitated for a long, long time. But they They also can absolutely they also can absolutely sorry, someone's just texted me. They also can absolutely, make you feel really, really bad. But you just have to keep going. And if you're going to speak out, if you're going to do that, which I've decided to do, I've decided to do an interview with somebody, and I know it will take me quite higher, and I know I'm going to divulge a lot of stuff that's gone on in the past and name names, and I will be attacked. And as I was saying, they do go for your health. They did the chemical in my boiler that was affecting me so bad. The landlady that did that, she knew that I was allergic to it, yet she was urged to put in. I would say that is a demonic attack, using her to attack me. And it's been rinsed out. I feel better, but I know I might have surmounted one thing, but they will come for me again in a different kind of way. And the only thing you can do against it is the things that I've just been saying, specifically prayer, conscious contact. Because if you do have conscious contact with God, then you can call on God to send the angels. The angels are just as powerful as the fallen angels. So to have them surrounding you is you're pretty much super protected, and you can call on that to stop that filthy energy just shit slapping you each day. Nobody should have to put up with it. And then when you look around, you see other people that aren't bothering to stand up and do anything, and they're not even awake, and they're not being slapped around, and you can feel a bit, well, that's unfair. I'd love to be as peaceful as that. But if you think about it, we're not long here. It's only temporary. So in their afterlife, or maybe in another life, they're going to have to go through what we're going through. So, just use these people to see where you should be, like, oh, look how peaceful they are. Well, I should be like that. And to be suffering during the day, to be under manners of other people, to let people slap you around constantly is just, it's not acceptable. It's really not. And some of us, we are kind of brainwashed to accept that kind of goings on, but it's not nice. And the more you can get in touch with the reality of how sacred you are inside, how every cell of your body is really, really sacred, how your mind is sacred, how your thoughts are sacred, how what you say is sacred, and every part of your body is really, really sacred, then you won't put up with someone who is hosting, slapping you, basically. I had my brother slapping me around today. I merely asked him, was the current house seller, the buyer that he's got on the hook, supposedly, what's going on? And he basically said, if I have news, I'll tell you. And there isn't any news. I wanted the house to be sold before summer holidays, so I could take my son on holiday because he's worked very hard at school, but now I won't be able to because this hasn't been done. And I felt very sad because my brother knows that, and he's just basically wants to stay in the house and have parties and have barbecues and have a summer there, basically, and at my expense in a certain amount of a way. And I spoke to him, then I drove around the corner, and I was sitting in the car, and I saw what looked like a brother and sister together, and they just seemed so happy and so warm. And I just threw myself on the steering wheel and cried because I just thought that's what I should have. It shouldn't be like, I'm telling my brother, well, hang on, my son here, I want to take him on holiday, and I shouldn't have a really, really icy response. Don't nag me to that. It should be, gosh, I'd really like to help you. What can we do together? Rather than shut your mouth, you bitch, you're nagging me. It's really horrible. And, part of me was accepting that because, oh, it's my brother and that's the way he speaks to me. But actually then seeing this brother and sister in the street and how you're supposed to be really, it just made me cry, and I cried and cried. and I got a friend to phone him and to say, look, this isn't really right. What's going on? And then my brother basically rang me when I was walking around the supermarket and spoke to me again like I was shit. And, I said, I know I'm a skank from an orphanage, but actually I'm human, and you really do have to talk to me as if I'm a human being. And, just to make it clear that he actually was got from the same orphanage as I was, but he rather saw himself as our adopted parents' real son and real child, and while I was the pet dog. And he's always really spoke to me like that. So the fact that I need money from the house sale is just irrelevant to him. It's rather like, I don't know, a dog barking in the street. He just doesn't feel he has to acknowledge it in any way or be nice or even sell the damn house. So, but I just have to suck it up basically and pray on it and pray for that the higher forces will influence him. We can pray that although the dark forces use other people to attack us, we can pray that the higher light forces can influence other people. We can pray that there will be certain dreams that to treat us more in a more human way, that they will just be nicer to us. I'm not saying to manipulate another person, but we can pray for that kind of help. So yeah, that's it really. So I just wanted to talk about being targeted and what goes on. And I know a lot of people out there are suffering from it. I'm going to try to set up a website where I can maybe counsel people that are going through this, and also sell my essences for as cheap as I possibly can on there, and also channel some essences and basically maybe do some soul retrieval for people if they have parts that are missing. Basically, in the soul retrieval, if any of my listeners, and I'm only going to do a show to 8 o'clock, because it looks like Max Spiers hasn't been able to join us, so I'm just basically going to just do the hour, because my throat will dry up if I just talk. And okay, so basically soul retrieval is what happens when our soul is incarnated. Basically, the further down it goes through the stratosphere, it shatters into hundreds of pieces of shards of crystal. And basically, we are walking around and we are just shards. So I might be a fairly big shard, or I might be a tiny shard of my soul, whatever we are. And in the soul retrieval process, we basically journey for another person or ourselves, and we search through the astral for the other pieces, the other shards that make up the whole. Some of them will be leading parallel lives in other universes. Sometimes they will be on different timelines. Sometimes they will be in the bodies of other people on different timelines, or maybe incarnated now, or sometimes they will just be in various parts of the astral. There are special parts where lost parts do congregate, or they might be having a totally separate life on the astral. For instance, I think nearly all the super soldiers have parts that have been shaved off and used for the wars on the astral. I am a monarch, so I had a part, and I've confronted this part. I've met this part that I can't actually get back, but who is a soldier on the astral, and I have met her but haven't got her back. I also have a girl part that was in a prison in the astral. It was imprisoned and basically locked down. I was locked up at each chakra point and kept in this cell. I have been able to get into the cell and I have been able to commune with the girl, but haven't been able to bring her back completely into me. So what is good for us is if we look at ourselves and see whether we are a big shard or a little shard, or what's going on with us, and try and unite ourselves, or at least be aware of these various parts that have shaved off. Because once we get them all back, then we become pretty powerful, actually, pretty powerful individual. And basically looking for these parts, sometimes you need someone to search for them, other times you can do it yourself. So I don't know if anybody wants me to search for them, but I'm willing to do that. I had offers of people trying to look for my parts, but I preferred to look for them myself, even though I have spoken to a few people who've helped me. I prefer, actually, if discarnate entities help me. There's a few discarnate entities that I speak to on a regular basis, and I would say they're not that they're very powerful, but they're not angelic. If anything, it would be going in the other direction. They are in human form, and I speak to them now and again. One of them showed me where this girl was, so that was a favor. But when I asked why she was on lockdown, they wouldn't tell me. So it is helpful to cultivate contacts in the astral and the mental, because then you can ask for favors, even if they're quite dark entities. You can often do some kind of bargaining and get favors with them. I try not to do that, but sometimes needs must, such as regarding my brother and pushing that on a little bit. So that's it, really. Max Spiers still hasn't come. It's now 20 minutes to the hour. I'm going to finish at 8 o'clock because I'm quite tired. So it's such a shame that he didn't come, because all week he was promising. He was promising to come. So, and I know that everyone was really looking forward to hearing about MK Ultra and addiction. Actually, I think Douglas Dietrich spoke a lot about that. I think it's the fact that if somebody has been under MK Ultra or programming, they tend to have quite exciting lives where they go off on missions constantly. So you got a kind of adrenaline going most of the time, and then when you basically get dropped or it's flung from the freedom train, you can through boredom of leading a normal life, find yourself becoming addicted to various things. I figure out for quite a long time after my my time with up and did sugar up, so I have to work on losing that, and I am working on losing that. But I would say that addiction comes with that because of that, and of course because a hole in your soul is created, because if you in the monarch programming shatter you even more. So basically your separate parts aren't there, they're off somewhere else, either on lost or fighting walls in the astral. So basically one becomes even more empty and lost. Got a real self going on there. You haven't got a whole self or a real self. Basically you're just really sleeping through life, waiting for again. But if you look around, most people in the same position, but just aren't being used in any kind of a way. They're just moving through life. But that's why they suffer addiction as well, through being asleep, through not being whole, through not having any kind of whole life or whole experience, fragmented. So the answer to that is the soul retrieval, basically to try and become, which is very important. What else do people want to talk to Max about? I think that was it really, and I think we were going to talk about the Norse gods, which is quite interesting. I do believe in the lesser gods. I had Mark Kaiser, the biblical scholar, and he pointed out that there was lesser gods, such as, I don't know if Odin is a lesser god. I think that's probably the ancient name for the creator god, but anybody can feel free to correct me. But connecting with Odin, I feel that that is the creator. But there are certain lesser gods, and they definitely are real. And Mike Kaiser was clear on that. And it is actually in the Bible that God sent out the lesser gods over each nation. And probably the gods formed us in their own image. So different gods, different races of people. And I suppose their gods all look much like they do, presumably. I think that is what's going on. Hopefully, I'm guessing Max would know more than that. He tends to know quite a lot. I don't know where he gets it from. I think maybe it would be rude if I sort of asked and said, well, hang on, how do you know that? But he just seems to know, and I always do feel when he's sharing that it's true. Even though I did disagree with him, I did disagree with him when we were discussing a programmer that I kept seeing on the Astral that I knew as a child. And they basically, when I fought him, he crumbled to dust and out sprung a winged reptilian, the dark winged. And I've spoken to Eve Lorgan about them, and I'm pretty sure they're Draco, actually. I'm pretty sure. But Max seemed to think that they weren't Draco. But I have to disagree on that, actually. I have had experience of them before, and it's odd that even though I seem to have known them as a child, or certainly known programmers that shapeshifted into them, but it's almost like I then spent some of my life that wasn't doing different things, searching for them, which is strange because one would think one would run a mile, but I seem to have been turning over stones, hunting them down, and I don't really understand that or understand why. But I looked specifically in the two serial killers that I visited. Bianchi actually had housed and still had a pet Draco that he basically came through him and committed the murders and is still with him, and that I saw. And it was almost like I'd been looking for that, and I'd been looking everywhere. But I think that's quite kind of odd why you would look why you'd look for that. But it seems to have been what I've done. I remember when I encountered Bianchi's on the Astral, and it said, or it communicated to me, because it didn't really speak English, it communicated to me, you seek us here, you seek us there, you seek us everywhere. And I had spent my life rather searching them down. It's a strange world we live in that makes us think that they don't exist. It's really quite horrible, quite frustrating. I saw the movie last night, The Fifth Wave, with Chloe Moretz, which was quite interesting. It had basically the ET demonic reptilian, whatever. There was a big ship in the sky. Actually looked like a real ship. I looked at it and I saw it. I thought, yeah, if they're ever going to come, they will come looking like that. And it was quite a heavy ship. And basically, they sent down diseases and all sorts of other things, earthquakes, tsunamis. And then the humans were in camps, a bit like the Syrians are now, and they were being chipped, which we all think is going to happen, obviously. And then the army came in eventually and said, all the adults in one part, all the children go off somewhere else. and they shot all the adults. They said, oh, basically, the fifth wave has come, and the fifth wave is that the ET come inside of us. So we don't know the difference between ET and human, and basically they want to kill us. And then somebody got angry and shot at the army. So the army then obliterated all the adults. And then the boys, the young children went off, and they were basically trained to shoot. And they were trained to look at people and to see the ET on their brain and sort of hosting on them if they wore these special glasses. So they sent them out to the field basically to kill anybody that was hosting. And eventually one girl seemed to have the same thing going on with her. And they realized that it was not true. The visors that we're looking at just made them think that the humans had these creatures leeching to their brains, and that basically the army were the ones that were hosting. And so obviously it's the state and the army, and basically they broke out of the army centre, and then they just went and they were huddled up, and the film ended with, you know, human beings have hope. So it was quite, I would say, a good message, because it's really, I think, what's going on at the moment. And I do think that the fifth wave has come. I do think that they are inside many, many people now, and certainly the ones in charge at a very powerful level, because they want them to come inside. You know, there's like the serial killers like Bianchi, he wanted to host that thing because when it came inside him, he felt $1 million. He didn't really care that he was killing girls. He just wanted the psychic powers of the Draco that were coming inside him. So he allowed it to host on its body. And the same with these higher, these elite people. They basically have had a relationship with Draco for many, many, many years, and it's a natural thing to them. They don't have to think about it. It just comes naturally. It just comes naturally that when they're in a human body, they will just host for them, and they will just become fully them. They have given up their humanity. They see it as weak. They see it as something outmoded, and they're basically worshippers of the Nakash, the Lord of the Underworld, who is actually the master dragon and the father of all the Draco, or Satan as we call him. I don't really like that name. I don't think it works very well because it's been associated with an angel, and basically the Nakash is a god. It's a lesser god, which is why we're having all this trouble, because it's a lesser god that really owns Earth, and the fallen angels are its minions. So we are in a lot of trouble. There is going to be a terrible battle, and we really have to just make sure that we have a close connection to God and a closer connection to the higher, or we're just going to get battered by the TI stuff, and we're not going to try, and we're just going to give up and just lay down and just say, okay, you know, let the dark side rule. Who cares? It's too hard to get anywhere. It's too hard to give a message, too hard to ascend. It's too hard because there's things in place to stop us. All we've got to remember is there is a lesser God in charge of this his realm. So really, we are like English people in a Nazi concentration camp, and we have to find a way to get out, or we have to find a way to live inside the concentration camp. We can't dismiss it, or say it's not going on, or say, ooh, you know, can't get out of it, can't fight them. You know, we have to be really, really brave. And I remember when I felt really, really bad quite recently, and I went to the church, and I just felt as if I was cornered on all sides by evil in a kind of energy trap. And indeed I was. And I just thought, so much of this evil energy, and I can't get away from it. And I prayed, and I said to God, I don't like this. Take this from me. I want to be fit. And I want to fight. I want to be fit. When the battle comes, I don't want to be slapped to shit with this TI stuff. I don't want to be targeted, individual, personified, have it written on my grave, TI person. I don't want this. Get rid of this from me. I want to be able to be ready when the battle comes so I can fight. And I prayed and prayed and cried and knelt there. And eventually, when I got really still, the message, the communication that came through to me was, "You are right in the eye of the storm. You know, the battle is here, it's raging, and you are right in the core of it. This is the war. It has arrived. The fifth wave is here, and we have to find a way to fight. It's arrived." I always thought, there'd be a starting gun or something, but evidently it's here. They've arrived silently in the night, quietly, as is their way, and it's here. And every time someone who's targeted puts up with what they're putting up with, you shouldn't put up with it. We must fight it, find a way, use the essences, do some kind of soul retrieval, and always, always, always remember to pray. Always pray. You have to do that every day, every morning. And it doesn't have to be mincing words. You can even say, "You make me sick, God, because this place is, can't you get down here? Look at it. What a mess." You really are not doing your job. Even if you say something like that, it's communication, and it builds up a bond, because it's like, if you don't talk to God, it's like having a neighbor that you don't know and you knock on the door and ask for sugar at 11 o'clock at night. If you've been talking to the neighbor, saying hello all the time, offering them cake, or smiling, waving, talking to them, going around their house, when you want to go over and ask for sugar at 11 o'clock at night, it's okay, because, hey, it's you. Oh, have you got some sugar? But if it's someone you don't know and you're asking for sugar, they're going to be like, oh, and they probably won't even answer the door. And that is what you're going to get from God if God doesn't know you, because there won't be, God won't be able to reach you because a channel hasn't been built up. So I just want to end today's show with that message that we are right in the middle of the storm at the moment. It's raging all around us, and it's here. It's here now. It's already started. It's going on. The fifth wave is here, and let's all wake up to it. I think Max Spiers is there, but I don't know if he's going to come on. If he's not going to come on, then I have to, because I'm getting a quite a sore throat, actually, through constant talking, and it's better if someone else there. Let me see if I know we'll probably go to break in a minute. Let me see if I can bring him on. Okay, let's have a look, see what I can do with this. Let's have a go. No, it's not working. It might do. One sec. Gosh, how boring. It's not going to. It's not going to. I do have a producer. Maybe I know he's listening. Oh, okay. So Max is typing a note. I do have Patrick English. He's listening, I do believe. So I don't know. He might be able to bring Max on for the second half. So hang loose for a minute. Max is still typing, but nothing is coming up. Isn't that annoying when you see people and it says da-da-da-da is typing, and they go on like for half an hour and you think, oh my God, I'm trying to get out here, I'm trying to go and have to stay and listen to what they say, and then it comes up and it's like, oh my God, I waited so long for that. Oh, here. I wrote to you today at 5:58 that I would not be able to do the show today, as since 3 days now I've had a migraine and been extremely sick. There you go. We're having a show about T.I. and he's been obviously hit because he's really popular. People really want to hear what he's got to say, and he's badly targeted. And here we go. they don't want him on. So that's unfortunate. So maybe we will pray for Max. I'm going to end the show, and if you can all pray for him, if you can all just think about him, watch one of his videos, watch him talking, and just send your energy to him. He's just said to me, "You're welcome to speak to my roommate about the extent of how sick I am." No, not really. But thank you. Okay. It's okay. Don't worry. Okay, so I'm going to basically close. I can hardly speak, and I have S fever. A fever. Oh, okay, that's good. Don't worry. Oops, I was about worry wrong. Don't worry. It's okay. Take care of. Oops. Okay. So we're going to go to break. Right. Okay. He's blaming Aquino. Since he did the post on Aquino, he is being hit. I just want to make it clear to a few people. I think somebody said recently that, I think it was Miles, that who said on the show, "Oh, you know him." I approached him via email to ask him about Monarch programming, and then got the most goddamn awful attack I've ever had for 4 nights in my entire life. And then I got speaking to him again via email, and then a few more times where I merely said, would he come on the show? And I was going to confront him about what had happened. Then everybody made such a fuss. I thought, oh, well, I won't bother doing it then. And then this, oh, you know him. I most certainly do not know him. I don't know him, not at all. I sent an email, a few emails. So that doesn't constitute knowing people. Other people have done that too. I wouldn't say I know him. In fact, the last email I sent to ask on the show, he was like, who are you? I had to explain all over again. I was a bloody journalist and I had a show. Would he come on? He said after I come out of having my cancer removed or something. But I've decided not to because I think it's not a good idea. We're going to end now. You can reach me on Facebook, Christine Joanna Hart. Please join me or hit the like, please. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make a comment and talk to me. And thanks ever so much for listening. God bless.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.